In the metals quadrant, taking a look at the March Palladium futures contract, which has now fallen for a fourth straight session, as well as 6 in the last 8 of lower prices, reaching its lowest level in over 5 years, going all the way back to August 16th of 2018. Palladium also fell below platinum's price for the first time since 2018, if you're watching that spread. On the high today, 900 was the high. That was up a little more than 0.8%. The low was 859.50, which was down 3.7%, and we finished the day down about 2.33%. On a weekly basis, Palladium fell 8.25% and has now completed 6 down weeks in the last 7, and the worst of those being down 9.3%. The second worst being this past week, that down 8.25%. So the pressure is still on this precious / industrial metal. Now, demand fears is part of the reason. The rising market share of battery-powered electric vehicles drops the metal's prospects, as the main industrial use for palladium is in catalytic converters. Catalytic converters are used to reduce emissions of harmful gases in automobiles. Palladium is also used in electronics, dentistry, jewelry, and key components of fuel cells, but by far the catalytic converter demand is the driver, no pun intended. So as we get weaker demand for catalytic converters and internal combustion engines, we get weaker demand for palladium. Also, looking at the dollar and yields, the dollar's now up 5 of the last 7 weeks, and yields were up double digits again in the US, and that creates a headwind for palladium because, like other precious metals, palladium often exhibits an inverse correlation to the dollar and interest rates. So that inverse correlation creates a headwind, isn't necessarily the only driver, but I already mentioned some other drivers in this sort of down week that palladium has had.